Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for the week of July 5th through July 11th, 2025, and I'm working with the Colors Storyteller Kit from Ali Edwards. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so this spread is the week of July 5th through 11th, which is not really a week, but what happened was I went away. We went on a vacation, well, like a short weekend getaway for the 4th of July. And then towards the end of July, we're taking another short weekend getaway. So I needed to kind of adjust my weeks because I wanted each of those getaways to be their own spread. And they're each only like 3 days. So I had to kind of adjust the weeks in the middle to make it work. And I adjusted them a little bit more like after I knew what was happening those weeks, like after I had my photos, because it turned out that I took a lot of photos towards the beginning of July, and like that last week I took like no photos, which is fine. I just shifted stuff. So for this spread, I'm using the Colors Storyteller Kit from Ali Edwards, and this is one of the projects that I planned out with that kit that will be shared in the story classroom. So those kits were released last month. And this year, Ali Edwards is doing these quarterly storyteller kits, and I'm still contributing to the classroom. So if you are a subscriber, you will see content from me over there, but my content comes out in month 2. So if you are watching this right when I first released it, my content has not yet come out, but this is one of the projects that I am planning in that video. So if you don't know, the content that I share over there is project planning using those kits, and I sketch out multiple projects using the kit. I think this month I sketched out 12 projects, including 3 Project Life spreads, which you will see me put together here. But if you want to see kind of the thought process behind how they come together, check that out in the classroom. So for this one, my jumping off point are these 1 through 5 story cards. So I actually wrote on this card here, or on my sticky note in prep for this week, my 5 kind of stories that I wanted to highlight on those cards. And I actually have another story which isn't one of those 5. So I'm going to have to kind of think about how I want to do that. And then I'm going to have those as kind of filler cards. I'm thinking one of these is going to be for my title. This photo has no story. It's just a cute photo of Pumpkin. One of my stories is my daughter got a cat. So this is her with her cat. And we drove back from the city. So I wanted, even though that was kind of like part of the trip, but that day we drove back in the morning, and we don't live that far from the city. So most of the day was at home, but I do want to document that story. And then here's going to be her cat. And then we made homemade chocolate ice cream, which is absolutely amazing. This is just a fun photo. And then we did this like shopping day. And then I have just like random stories. And then we prepped to paint our bedroom, which we did do the next day because this like week ends on a Friday. And then so on the Saturday and Sunday we painted. So that story is going to be more on that next spread. But let's see it. So I feel like that's good for that. These, I was thinking I wanted to put them on these 4x6 photos, but I don't know that I have more words. I guess I could put like that, but I'm thinking I could cut off that part and just use it as like an embellishment. And then this one, maybe I will add like a little bit of the story on here, although it's really covering up a lot of the photo if I do that. I could put it on here though. I like that idea. And then maybe I'll switch these like that. And that can be kind of telling the story for that. Okay, so I think I like that as my setup. My initial thoughts are I have a good layout here. I have to do some journaling as a large piece of this, putting this layout together. I don't have much embellishment on my photos, so I need to think about if I want to do some sort of treatment on my photos and bring something in from my stash and what that will be. Likely what it will be is a few embellishments that I can kind of cluster on a few of them. And then for the journaling, I need to think about if there's something I want to do on these to make them more interesting. So it's not just handwritten journaling. And I was thinking maybe doing some stamping, like some stamp titles on each of them. So I'm going to think about that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on voiceover as I get this one put together, and I'll talk you through that process.
Okay, so this one comes together quickly. I am starting with my title card as usual and just adhering this die cut piece onto the pattern paper and kind of creating my own title card. I don't label my weeks or anything like that with a number or the word week or anything like that. Instead, I just use the dates. So I use my rolling date stamp to add the dates on there. And as I said in the introduction, this is not a true Monday through Sunday week because I adjust my weeks as needed. So instead, this one, I think it runs like Sunday through Thursday or something like that, but it works for me. So I wanted to do an embellishment cluster, and because the kit did not have small embellishments, this gave me a good opportunity to do some stash busting. So I pulled over a flat sticker sheet that I had in my stash. I have no idea where that came from. I have had it forever. And some puffy stickers that I believe are from the Kelly Perky shop, also in my stash for a while, and a washi tape that I got from a small independent shop. And I'm using those to create an embellishment cluster on a few of my photos. You can see I added one on that photo of the coffee shop. For these journaling cards that are numbered, I'm going to use this stamp set, which is an older one from Ellie Edwards, to stamp out a title or like one word for each of the stories and then do my handwritten journaling. And I thought that would make these cards a little bit more interesting. And also, it would give you those big, large words to kind of have it be so that you can see what each story is about just from a quick glance at the spread without reading all of the journaling. I decided to do the journaling about my daughter's cat first. She named her cat Ponyo, so I stamped out his name. On that journaling, the number 1 card there was about our travel home from the city on Sunday morning, and I think actually Saturday morning, and how that kind of took up our morning, but then we were able to have a full normal day at home, which was great and kind of unexpected. Usually when we go away for the weekend or for a vacation, whatever it is, I anticipate feeling extremely like tired and behind afterwards. Although I love travel, it does get me off of my routine and makes it so I have less time to craft and edit videos and that type of thing. Do my housework, all of those other chores and tasks and fun things that I want to do at home. But because this getaway was a Thursday and Friday and we got home pretty early on Saturday, I still had my full weekend and I felt pretty good. So I just wanted to make note of that because that is something I will keep in mind in planning future getaways. This photo of Pumpkin has no story or anything. I just thought it was super cute. So I'm going to go ahead and add my same embellishment cluster on here, pairing one of the puffy stickers with one of the flat stickers on top of a piece of washi tape. The photo of Summer and her cat, I added another one of the die cuts from the kit and I cut it off and just added a few additional words on there about my daughter right now. And then I'm just going to slip everything in the pockets and move on to page 2 of this spread. On the second page, I have all 3x4 pockets. So I staggered my journaling cards across the spread and had my photos and then one filler card that I guess is not a filler card. It's also a journaling card, but looks a little bit different. On each of these, I'm doing my stamping. So the stories I'm stamping are ice cream, shop, and life. So for ice cream, that is about making some homemade chocolate ice cream, which I have a photo of in the top left corner of this spread. Shop was because I think it was on Friday, we went shopping and I got some new sunglasses. So you can see a photo of me there with some new sunglasses. And then we went out to dinner with some friends. So I have that information on that card. And then the life one is just kind of my random bullet point list. So if you've been following me for a while or watched any of my previous Project Life spreads, you know that I tend to include one card that is a bullet point list or a compilation of a lot of small stories from the week. For this one, because I wanted it to match the style of the rest of the cards in the spread, I don't create a bullet point list. Instead, I write it in a paragraph format, but I write about the things I'm currently working on and about our movie nights and what I've been watching and just like random things that are going on this week, the little stories that didn't make it onto the other journaling cards. And I'm happy with how that turned out. I'm working on adding a few more of these embellishment clusters on some of the other photos. On this spread, I am really following a formula. So there's only really a couple different styles of cards. So at this point, I'm not thinking too much when putting them together, just picking things that I think will fit the photo and being happy with that. On this card here, I'm adding another one of the die cuts from the kit and using this to add a little bit of an additional story. On Friday during this week, we prepped our bedroom to paint it. We did the painting on Saturday and Sunday, which will fall into the next spread. So you'll see that in my next process video when it comes out. But I did take a photo of the room taped for this week or on that Friday. So I'm including that here and telling that story because it's a bit of what happened on that day. I liked that as a separate style journaling card because it was a big enough story to get its own card and not be in my compilation list, but it was short enough that I didn't have enough information to fill in one of these numbered cards. So that worked really well. I also like that it broke up the photos and the journaling cards and added a little bit more of interest to this right side of the spread. And it mirrored the title card that I did on the left-hand side of the spread. So I think it makes the spread really cohesive. For this week, I like that I'm doing a very formulaic approach. I don't do that in every week in Project Life, but I do it pretty frequently, especially when I'm working with a kit and have fallen a little bit behind. At the point I'm working on this kit, on this spread, which is in the very beginning of July, it is now the end of July and I have a few weeks to catch up on. So I was happy to do this one a little bit easier and quicker so that I can move on to the next one. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and slip everything into the pockets. You can see I have a few photos here that don't have stories to go with them, and that's totally fine. I'm just pulling my favorite photos from the week to have a compilation of everything that happened during this time frame in my life. This spread, I'm super happy with how this spread came out, and don't forget to check out the Storyteller Classroom to see how I plan this one and others. Here's a look at that completed spread. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.